Adrian Peterson just released a statement. Now, his arrest ignited this massive firestorm about parenting and spanking and really the thin line between discipline, abuse, and parental rights. So let's have a big talk about this, shall we, with noted psychiatrist and Harvard Medical School professor Dr. Alvin Toussaint and CNN digital correspondent and editor-at-large Kelly Wallace and Sunny Hostin. We kept you here. You were fired up over the commercial break, so we said, don't move. So we've got you as well. So welcome to all of you. And first, just Dr. Toussaint, let me just begin with you. Is it okay for parents to spank kids if that is what happened to them when they were growing up? That's what they're familiar with.
I think that's one of the reasons they raised their children the way they were raised, and if they felt that spanking helped them when they were growing up, they're likely to use it on their children. That's one of the problems with spanking and using violence, is you perpetuate the cycle over generations. So many Americans believe in spanking as part of raising children, even though there's so much evidence, in fact, that it's likely to be harmful rather than helpful in raising children, and often leads to child abuse, like in this situation right here. That is, once you start hitting your kid and you're very angry and you lose control, that's when you create an injury, cuts and bruises, and that's when it crosses a line into child abuse that has to be turned over to child protective agencies, and that's what's happened in this situation. And it doesn't matter what your intent is. It doesn't matter what your intent is. If you injure the child because you were, quote, disciplining him or her, then it's going to be seen as child abuse and treated in that way, and you suffer the consequences. And the child, hopefully, is helped, because being cut and bruised, if that's what happened, is certainly not in a child's interest in terms of changing his behavior or helping that child. In fact, you're damaging that child.
Let me let these two mothers jump in on this, because clearly when you read Adrian Peterson's statement, I think one of the lines that really jumped out at me is he feels like he would have been one of those lost kids in the streets had he not been disciplined as a child, and had, you know, he's become the success in his eyes today. So he's just continuing that cycle.
Well, he's continuing the cycle of violence, and I would suggest to Adrian that he succeeded in spite of the beating, not because of it. That is the bottom line. And we know so much more now about child rearing, about child abuse. And it is clear to me, and I think to everyone, he's saying he's not a child abuser. Well, guess what? You are a child abuser. And what's striking to me, having prosecuted so many of these cases, is the notion that you can strike a child, you can assault a child. Spanking is assault, and that is not a criminal act. Yet if you did the same thing to an adult, that is considered an assault. It's considered an unwanted touching. And so we need, I think, as a society to say, even spanking is wrong. It is criminal. You can discipline your child in so many ways, right, Kelly? I mean, so many ways. Even the American Academy of Pediatrics has said negative consequences. You do not spank.
Right, but I think I was struck by that same line where he said that his success, in a way, he holds to the discipline he had. You know, you hear a big online reaction to the story. Yes, tremendous number of people who say, oh my gosh, this is awful, but a large number of people who say, you know what, I had this kind of discipline as a kid, and this is the kind of discipline that kept me in line. And the other thing he said, which was very interesting, which was after meeting with a psychologist or talking to a psychologist, he has more awareness now about these other alternatives when it comes to disciplining his children. And this is where awareness is key. That we got to get more messaging out about how dangerous spanking can be and what are more effective ways to discipline your child.
I've been hearing lots of different conversations about this today, and in a sense, it's sort of like it's an old conversation that's brought to the light once again. But what's been unique is that even, like, you know, the likes of Charles Barkley bringing in the notion of the black community, and I'm totally paraphrasing you, Chuck, but basically he was saying, you know, if this was against the law in the black community, a lot of parents in the South would be in prison for doing this.
Well, but that doesn't make it right. You know, my father's from Georgia. My father's a Southern gentleman.
I'm from Georgia. I know all about spanking.
And he would tell me stories about having to be sent outside to get the switch, and not a small one, he would say, his mom would say. And he feels that he succeeded because of that, because she was a single mom. But I wasn't spanked because my mom, as a Northeasterner, as a woman, as an educator, she's a teacher, knew that that was the wrong way to go. And I don't spank, especially because of the child abuse cases that I have prosecuted. So I'm just surprised. I think it is something that is cultural. You see it in the African American community. Quite frankly, I've heard people in my community say, well, spare the, quote scripture, spare the rod, spoil the child, and they say that this is, if it's okay with the Bible, then it must be okay. But it just really is so antiquated, and it just isn't okay. I don't even think you should spank for discipline.
Doctor, I just want to hear you back in on this because, listen, we all come from our different paths and lives and perspectives. Go ahead.
Spanking is very embedded in America. And it's not just the black community, it's all of the communities in America, including newcomers to America. And I think we're different in that way than many other countries. 35 countries ban corporal punishment in the world, 35 countries.
That?
One of them is not America. And the other thing is we have kind of institutionalized corporal punishment by permitting it in schools. There are 19 states that permit paddling of school children for discipline. And could you imagine that they beat the children for not learning or doing whatever reason, left to the judgment of the teacher or the principal?
So if this is in our nation's DNA,
difficult.
Doctor, how does it stop?
It stops is you have to keep trying and trying to educate. I've spent a lot of my career around trying to prevent corporal punishment. But I go to certain communities and they attack you with all the arguments that you've been bringing up. It's good for them. It's, it will turn them. It will build their character. You even have some people, and you get this in domestic violence cases, saying, "Well, I really don't love my child, and I really don't love my wife if I don't beat her." Now that gets to be bizarre, but I've heard that type of talk as well, as if violence itself is something very positive when in fact it's something very, very negative. And these children, I think they're much more likely to become antisocial. They're more likely to be angry. They're more likely to distrust authority. They're more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety because of being so-called whipped or beaten by their parents or anyone else. And it also leads to fatalities. Let's not forget that. It's just not the abuse and the bruises, but some of these children are actually killed because of the abuse.
Wow. You were the professional, sir. Thank you so much. Alvin Poussaint at Harvard. This is your area of expertise. Thank you so much for joining us. And Kelly Wallace and Sunny Austin. Ladies, thank you so much. It's an important conversation to just keep having.